Now that we've made it down to the water, finally, it was a long run, let me tell you. But I have to say that there are several pros that go with this reel, and there are a few cons that I'm just not impressed with. And honestly, it's not gonna be my go-to reel. So let's start with the pros, and then we'll get to why it's not gonna be my favorite reel. The first one, and I think the most attractive for the beginner angler and the intermediate angler, is the price. It's like $130 for the world's fastest reel, and that's just hard to beat. A $130 reel isn't crazily high priced anyways, so finding that sweet spot right in the middle for this, I think they did as far as the pricing goes and the quality. The other thing that I really liked about this reel was how smooth it does reel. The casting is another thing that we'll talk about here in a little bit, but the retrieve is really smooth and extremely fast. I love pitching and flipping with this reel. It's just super smooth. It gets back to you really fast, and so you can just keep making more and more pitches and flips, and it just helps you be a more efficient angler while you're on the water, maximizing your time, therefore helping you catch more fish. Another thing that I like that has absolutely nothing to do with the performance is that it just looks good. I mean, look at this reel. Black and red, it's just a beautiful reel. Along with being a smooth reel, it also feels good in the hands. It's very lightweight. You'd think that it'd be big and bulky, and it's really not. So you can sit here all day, make several pitch after pitch after pitch after pitch, and be just fine, not get tired, not have your hands hurting. It's a very lightweight reel that feels great in the hands. But now let's talk about some of the reasons why I won't be buying another one, and I really don't recommend you buy another one unless that you're looking for a very high-speed reel. So I've caught a few fish with this reel now, and honestly, it's hard to fight the fish because of that high-speed reel. So even though you have the fastest reel in the world, the higher the speed, the harder it is going to be to reel in those fish. So I think it's almost better to have a little bit of a balance and stick with like that 8-to-1 gear ratio. Another problem with the higher speed gear ratio is that I already fish too fast as it is, so this only speeds up my fishing, and I end up fishing just way too fast, covering too much water instead of really slowing down a little bit and focusing on, you know, making a good cast and then a slow retrieval to trigger a bite. Now in the summertime it doesn't matter as much, but when you're fishing a bladed jig or a swim bait or a crankbait or something, it's very hard to just really slow down and get that nice, slow, methodical reel. Honestly, I just couldn't cast very far, and I couldn't cast consistently without getting a backlash. I either had to crank the brakes way up, which then means I can't cast as far, or I had to leave them loose and just really ride my thumb on my pitches and flips, and that wasn't bad. That's why I'm using it for a pitching and flipping rod and reel. But if you're gonna be casting this, I really recommend finding another reel. I'm not by any means like an expert caster, so I can't say that I never get backlashes, but compared to my other reels, even after I've dialed it in, fine-tuned it in, and I even had my grandpa test it, I was still getting a lot more backlashes with this reel than I was any other reel. I'm not saying that it doesn't cast far, because I can cast far with it, but consistently it does not cast as well as my other reels. Now, despite the cons, I will be using this reel, like I said, but it's not for everybody. So who the heck is it for? This is a specialty reel that I mentioned several times that I will be using it for pitching and flipping, and that's primarily it. I really don't want to make long casts with it because I literally just spent like 20 minutes digging out a bird's nest to make this video. So making long cast is a no-go. It's a specialty reel, and I would recommend it for beginners and intermediates looking to specialize and get a pitching and flipping reel. So if you're in need of a high-speed reel for pitching and flipping, I do recommend that this is a pretty solid reel for that. Now, if you're looking for a long casting rod and reel, one like for crankbaits and spinnerbaits, this is not the reel for you. If you want to pick one up or another KastKing product, feel free to use the link in our description below. We get a small commission from that at no extra cost to you. But if you're kind of like me and you're not convinced that this is the reel for you, check out the video below where I review several of my favorite reels that I've used throughout the years, and I'll see you there.